If you think family drama only happens in movies, wait until you hear how my son's wife tried to shame me at my own family party without realizing I was standing right behind her, hearing every single word. My name is Richard Hayes, and at 72 years old, I've learned that age doesn't just give you wisdom, it gives you the ability to see the truth people think they're hiding, the things they whisper when they assume you're too old or too distracted to notice. This story took place during our annual family barbecue, the kind where kids run around the yard, the grill smokes with burgers and ribs, and everyone gathers in small groups laughing and sharing updates about life. And for most of that afternoon, everything felt warm and familiar, exactly the kind of family moment I always look forward to until one simple decision. Stepping inside the house to grab more ice led me straight into something I was never supposed to hear. As I walked down the hallway toward the kitchen, a little slower than I used to move because time has its way of reminding me it's in charge, I heard voices around the corner, voices I recognized immediately. My daughter-in-law, Melissa, and two of her friends, talking in that hushed but not really hushed tone people use when they feel safe to gossip. I didn't intend to listen, but the moment I heard my own name, my feet froze on their own, and Melissa's voice came through clear as day as she said, "I honestly don't know how my husband deals with his dad." Richard is so old-fashioned, always giving advice nobody asked for, always telling those long stories like he's the hero of everything. And the worst part wasn't her words, it was the sarcastic laugh that followed, a laugh that stung deeper than I expected. Her friends gave those polite, uncomfortable chuckles people give when they don't want to encourage the conversation but also don't want to offend the one speaking. I stood there with the melting bag of ice in my hands. And before I could even think, she added, "And have you seen how he dresses? My God, he still looks like he stepped straight out of 1980. It's embarrassing. I wish he'd stop trying so hard to fit in." And that one hit me harder than she'd ever know. Because I've always tried to present myself well at family gatherings. Not to impress anyone, but to show respect to the people I love. But Melissa kept going, completely unaware that the man she was tearing down was standing just a few feet away, quietly absorbing every word. "If he tells one more back-in-my-day story," she said bitterly, "I swear I'm going to lose it." And hearing that from someone I've treated with nothing but kindness felt like someone pulling the rug out from under me. I slowly stepped back, not wanting her to realize I'd heard anything, and slipped out the back door instead of walking into the kitchen, blending into the noise of the party so she wouldn't suspect a thing. The rest of the afternoon went on like normal, but I was quieter, less engaged, sitting there with a polite smile while my heart felt heavier than it should have. And every time Melissa passed by and gave me that sweet, respectful smile she always shows in front of others, I wondered how many times she had spoken about me like this behind my back. But then something happened that softened the entire blow. My 8-year-old grandson. Her own child walked up to me with a cookie in his hand and said, "Grandpa Richard, can you tell me one of your stories? The one about when you were young?" And hearing that innocent little voice reminded me that the people who truly appreciate you aren't always the adults. Sometimes it's the children who see your heart without judgment, without filters, without pride. Later, as the sun started to set and most of the guests headed home, I carried some empty dishes into the kitchen and overheard my son speaking softly to Melissa, saying, "I really wish you'd appreciate my dad more. He's done so much for us." And Melissa sighed, sounding tired, saying, "I know. I just get frustrated sometimes," still unaware I had heard everything earlier. I stepped into the kitchen then, and Melissa turned toward me with a polite smile that faltered when she saw the look in my eyes. And she asked, "Richard, do you need anything?" In the sweetest voice she could manage. I looked at her, calm and steady, and said something simple. "Just remember, respect is a choice," and walked away, not raising my voice, not accusing her, just leaving her with a truth she immediately understood. I could see the realization hit her, the way her face fell, the way her hands froze, the way guilt washed over her. She knew I'd heard something, though she couldn't be sure how much. The next morning, she came to my home alone, eyes red, hands shaking slightly, and apologized. Not the kind of apology that's forced or polite, but a genuine apology, one from someone who knew they had crossed a line. She admitted she'd been overwhelmed, frustrated with life, taking out her stress in the worst possible way, and I told her gently, words hit hardest when they come from family, so use them with care, and she cried, hugged me tightly, and promised to do better, and this time, I believed her. Because real remorse isn't in the apology, it's in the change that follows, and over the next weeks and months, I saw that change. She listened more, softened more, became more patient and truly respectful, not because she feared being caught again, but because she realized the value of family, the weight of her words, and the importance of honoring the people who stand by you. And if this entire situation taught me one thing, it's that sometimes the most hurtful truths are spoken when people think you're not listening, but what you choose to do after hearing them defines your character. And in my case, choosing forgiveness brought far more peace to our family than anger ever could.